Well, hello everyone. It's another Sunday, another episode. I'm Kim,
And I'm a dingo.
and today we want to talk about a very sensitive issue. Friday was Mental Health Week. Baby, were you aware of that?
I wasn't aware of that.
Yes, Friday was Mental Health Awareness Day.
Okay.
Right. But I want to just stress the point that I believe mental health needs to be addressed daily.
Right.
Because people suffer with anxiety and depression on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So it's nice to acknowledge it and make a big day out of it and most probably make people aware of it.
Right.
But I think it's something that we need to, especially as a Black community, deal with on a day-to-day basis. And today our conversation will be about mental health issues in relationships, because that happens. How do you deal or cope with a spouse who suffers from very high anxiety problems, or who's battling with depression, who's battling with suicide, and so forth, because this is the reality of some people's lives. And we need to address those things, because it's not all beautiful and a bunch of roses every day. There are people who have severe anxieties in their relationship. You understand? They suffer from severe anxieties, and that may actually put a big, that may impact their relationship in a huge way. Somebody may believe, like, instead of actually being a spouse to somebody, a partner to somebody, it's like they've taken an additional child. It's like, now, I have to treat you a certain way, because if I say the wrong thing to you, I could lead you to committing suicide because you're that fragile. So we're just talking about depression, anxiety, mental health on the whole, and how you can support each other, and maybe what you can do to help your relationship in times like this, or how to actually see that the others, because sometimes we suffer in silence. You have someone who suffers from depression and they may not talk about it, and they may be lashing out in different ways, and you may be trying to understand, well, what's wrong with him or what's wrong with her. So it's ways of identifying in your relationship if one is suffering from anxiety or depression or any other form of mental health. This issue. So this is what we want to talk about today. It's a very sensitive issue, and it's an issue which is affecting our Black community the most, because we are full of pride, I think. Sometimes we do not want to speak about things. We do not want to seek help because we think we'll be ridiculed or people will look at us funny. You understand? There's nothing wrong with seeking help. There's nothing wrong with going to a counselor. There's nothing wrong with speaking to the right person. As I said, the right person, because sometimes speaking to the wrong person can cause you more harm.
Indeed,
So this is where we are today. So, Mr. Jackson, what's your view on this subject?
Well, I think it's very important to talk about. I think that in relationships as a whole, a lot of issues could be resolved. A lot of issues could be dealt with if we bring them out in the open. We have a conversation, and from a conversation we can develop a treatment plan or a plan of action to bring some kind of structure together, as in the way, how do we move forward in managing or handling this difficulty or whatever challenges our relationship is facing. And I think it's as you've said, I'd like to echo everything that you've said, because you've put it perfectly. Mental health, it's not something that has just come about today. It's been around from the beginning of time. It's been around from forever. And some people would have had certain social challenges from early childhood. Some people would have difficulties coping with certain social challenges, emotional, psychological challenges, which will then in turn develop into a variety of mental health issues. It will cause one to break down. I think beyond anything else, what anyone should try to understand who might have think that they have mental health issues, who have not been diagnosed, is it's worth having a conversation about it. It is worth going to try to speak to some professional or speak to the professionals about it. It's worth trying to understand where you are, how you are, and we know ourselves better than anyone knows us. But if we are not accepting of the reality of how are you doing, not how you're doing, how are you doing? our life is not a bed of roses. Our life will go through traumas from day to day, from year to year, from time to time. And it is not impossible for anyone to become victim to these traumas. The things that you could have dealt with last year, 5 years ago, 5 years on, next year, you'll be a little bit more fragile. You might be a bit more emotionally vulnerable. And before you understand what's happening, you have become a different person emotionally and psychologically. And then you realize that there's a shift in you. You're just not feeling yourself. And it's important to consider and to look at, how are you doing? How are you coping? How
I really
are
like
you
the way
managing?
you put that. How are you doing?
How
Not
are
just
you
how you're
doing?
doing,
Yeah.
but how are you doing?
How are you doing?
Because I think that's a question that a lot of couples do not ask each other. I think, like, I know sometimes I ask you that question. I say, Mr. Jackson, you okay?
Can I stop you right there? Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
That's the reason why I was making this point.
Okay.
Because there was a point where after my mother died, after my mother passed away, there was quite a few months that passed, came from the funeral and everything, and I came and I was just carrying on with everything, getting on with it as usual. And there was a lot of other things that were wrong that time. And I remember one time you said to me, how are you doing? I said, oh, I'm good, I'm fine. And you're like, yeah, that's okay, lovely. And you come and you hug me and everything, and we're fine. And then it was like about 5 minutes later, and then you said to me, you kind of stilled the air and you stopped everything, and you said to me, like, baby, how are you doing? Not how you're doing as in if you're okay, if you've had something to eat, if you are comfortable in the clothes that you have on, if you're comfortable where you are physically. There's a lot of things, a few significant things that has just happened. I'm asking you, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And the point I would like to make here is, as you're saying, you're raising that point,
Yeah.
how are you doing? That's where I'm going. I stopped, because we don't do this very often. I stopped all of the thoughts I had, all of the plans I had. I stopped everything that I was doing, and I had to really think about the question that you ask, and then ask myself, how am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not how am I doing, how am I doing?
Yeah.
And I think about everything that has happened, and I think about if I took those things seriously, have I considered them long and hard enough? How have they impacted how I feel, and what have they done to me? And then I took some time. I could remember I took some time before I answered you, and you let me think about it. You let me take a moment, and I went into myself.
Oh, yeah.
I closed everything off, and I was able to be honest with myself. I was able to have a
because
think
I was
about
not
it.
looking for a superficial answer, like
Well,
you
yeah,
were saying.
yeah.
Don't tell me, oh, I'm fine. You're
Yeah.
not fine.
No,
How
because
are
no,
you
I
doing?
did feel at
Yeah.
the time on the surface, because generally when someone asks you how you're doing or how's the family, you'll give an answer because you already have
It's
a
programmed in it.
pre-recorded
Exactly.
kind of generic answer.
Yeah.
I'm fine, the family's okay, the kids
Yeah.
are alright, the husband is okay, the wife is okay, the dogs are fine, the cats are fine, the rats are still eating the sugar in the kitchen, blah blah blah. We have that kind of
It's
way
true.
that we have this generic answer.
But
that
really
we
and truly,
have
we're not
lined
okay.
up.
Yeah.
But I have to take a moment. But I think what is important beyond that
Yes.
moment, the next few days, I took the time to keep asking myself, how are you
That's
doing?
amazing.
Because you triggered that question. What you did is that you gave me the authority. You gave me the right to check, to have a
Yourself.
mental health check.
Oh, yeah.
A personal
Oh, yes.
mental health check. That's what I did, because I didn't. Well, for some people it might be something else, but for me, that is what that
Oh,
did
yeah.
at the time.
And I think we've
I
all
was
been there.
authorized. And I'm saying that to say it's important for us as individuals to, if you can, sometimes please do stop
Yourself.
and just take a quiet moment, still the air, stop everything, and quietly and deeply, sincerely ask, how am I doing? It is so important
So powerful.
to do that, to check
So
that.
powerful.
I'd like to move on. If that's okay, we're
Yeah.
just moving
Yeah.
on from that. That's about a self-assessment.
Of course.
It can begin there. Some people can do that. Everyone can't, but some people can. Who can, please do. Moving on to mental health in relationships. during that time, I was a certain way and you saw. So this is not beyond me. Now
Yes.
it's going to you.
Yes.
You were able to see me and see that I was not myself. I was not what you think I should have been or what I was accustomed to being. So at that moment, at that point, I want to hand over to you now. Does that make sense?
That makes
I want to hand
sense.
over to you because you were able to see me. So you were like the and we could do this for you when in a relationship. It's important to do that. You have to be the gatekeeper of your partner's mental health.
My God, that is such a powerful point you just made there. You have to be
The gatekeeper.
gatekeeper of your partner's mental health.
Yep.
I need to say that again. You have to be the gatekeeper
Yep.
of your partner's mental health.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
powerful.
yeah.
That is powerful. And I think this is what we want our listeners to get out of this, because
Yeah.
we can be in a relationship with someone
Yep.
and it is okay to challenge your partner and say, how are you doing?
How are you doing? Yeah.
Don't tell me you're okay. Let's talk about serious stuff. How are you doing? Because there could be stuff at work that you're not coming home to talk to me about.
Oh, yeah.
Because maybe you believe you do not want to stress me out. You do not want to stress your spouse out. You don't
Often.
want to stress out your girlfriend or your boyfriend. So
Of
you don't want to
course.
talk about issues.
Of course.
But those issues keep building on top of each other.
Oh,
You know
yes.
what I mean? You
Oh,
could be
yes.
getting bullied at work, being harassed at work. You understand? You could be having issues with your finances.
Oh, yes.
Because as much as you together you have a joint, a saving, whatever it is, but you could be battling with stuff that, you could have pre-existing, debts before you came to me
I know.
that you are trying to fix. And you're saying, this is a new relationship. How do I make this work for my new wife or my new spouse or my current spouse without me bringing my situation to them?
Of course,
You
yeah.
understand?
Out of respect.
Out of respect.
Yeah,
Or
of
you
course.
could be in so much debt that you're about to lose your entire household, and you
the
can't.
house,
You don't
yeah.
have the guts to even tell your partner we're about to lose the house.
Oh, yeah, of course,
you
of
understand?
course, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
very important for us to find out. Look at your partner sometimes, because I think this is the thing. Sometimes we're so busy getting on with life. You understand? The day-to-day busyness of life, the 9 to 5 of life, and sometimes we forget that we need to take a pause and ask the other person, what is going on with you?
Yeah.
Are you fine?
Yep.
You understand?
It's a responsibility
Yeah. It's
that a lot of people don't
for me
take
and
seriously.
for you.
Yeah, for both of
For
us.
both of us.
Yeah,
And we
do.
both need to check ourselves, like you said. It's a personal self-assessment sometimes, because we need to make sure that we're okay.
Yeah.
People come into relationships with people. We talked about this before in a previous podcast, with baggage.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
You've had
Now, we never
experiences.
talked about the baggage some people come with.
Oh, yeah.
You understand? I could have been abused as a child.
Oh, yeah.
Sexually abused as a child by a parent.
Oh, yeah.
You understand?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that could have impact my life for a very long time. And this is me. I have buried those emotions. I haven't spoken to anyone about it.
Oh, yes.
And this is me trying to make a life for myself. I'm now being a wife or a husband to someone. But I'm still battling with those issues.
Yeah.
Because every
Yeah.
time my partner or my spouse touches me,
You jump.
it triggers what
yeah.
happened to me
Oh, yes.
how many years ago. So I am in bed trying to fake orgasms. You understand? Pretending that my life is okay, but really and truly I am not. You understand?
Of course.
So I'm saying there are things that could, we have pre-existing issues. A lot of people come into relationships with pre-existing issues. We call them baggage. And sometimes we talk about those baggages, but we do not sit and find out exactly what your baggage is. You understand?
Oh, yes.
Right. I am coming with issues. What are your issues? I'm coming from a broken relationship. How did that affect you? You understand? I'm coming from a broken marriage, an abusive relationship. How has that affected you? Because now it's affecting your mental health. And now that you're in this new relationship, you're suffering from major anxieties. You understand? Because if I now say to you, I am going out with my friends, you will be sitting at home thinking 110 reasons as to why your spouse shouldn't go, or while they're out, you like an obsessive partner now because you're now texting me 100 times. Where are you? When are you coming home? How long are you going to be? Because there's something that has not been dealt with in the past, because we do not understand these things. We just think, why is she so obsessive? Why is this person on my case all the time? You may have daddy issues, you may have mommy issues. Why do you want to know my business all the time? Why can't I just go out with my friends for an hour? You understand? And it's those things we do not understand, the root of the issues as to why those things are in our relationships. You understand? And another point with regards to, the whole mental health thing, it's more or less like sometimes you may be with someone that 100% is suffering from depression or high anxiety problem. And now they've become like a burden in other ways, because now it's like, you are walking on eggshells. If I say the wrong thing, I'll trigger them. If I act the wrong way, I'll trigger them. I can send them to start cutting themselves. I can send them to disappearing for a few days. We know of situations like this in the past.
Yes, of course.
When someone is going through a phase or whatever it is, they may go missing for a few days or a few hours. You don't even know where your spouse is, because not everyone knows how to deal with the issues of life, especially in this pandemic situation, because we've discovered that in the lockdown, and God forbid it look like we are going into a second phase of the lockdown. And this is why this podcast is so important today, because it's like a preparation, because there is a high possibility that we might be going into a second wave, or I think we might be there already. What happens when we are locked in our homes again? Because not everyone can deal with that level of stress, the uncertainty of life, of not knowing whether my job is secure. You understand? So many companies are now, closing. So many people have lost their jobs. You understand? And what do you do? And how do you look after your family? Some people cannot cope with those issues. You understand? The Bible talks about that peace which surpasses all understanding. I never understood that until I had to experience I had to deal with my own baggage. Because like you were saying, when you lost your mom, I also lost my mom.
Right.
And when I lost my mom, I was the only child. I don't, from my mother's side. You understand? I have other siblings on my dad's side, but I was the only child for my mom. And we were particularly close. I was her world. You understand? And her death had really affected me because there were a lot of issues. You understand? And for me, when I got the phone call that she had gone, I was so angry, because I'm thinking, well, she couldn't have gone yet, because she never got to see this. She never got to see me doing great. She never, there are a lot of things. And at some point, it started affecting my mental health. You understand? It started affecting my mental health. Mm-hmm. And I, like you're saying, I had to check myself at one point. Yeah. And I had to say to myself, Kim, you need to get a grip you need to get a grip, because you are losing yourself. And I don't know if you remember, I was distancing myself. You understand? And that is something that normally happens. You will take yourself away from your family. And sometimes your spouse don't even notice.
Of course.
Do you know that?
Of course.
You taking yourself away from your family. And if your spouse is not on it, they will miss that you have taken yourself away. It's like you are there, but you are not there.
But then that's the reason why I was trying to make the point a bit earlier about being your partner's gatekeeper. Mm-hmm. If you're your partner's gatekeeper is the guard.
Exactly.
You are the guard. You are the security. So if you're at the entrance, if you're at the door, if you are there, you have to be aware. You have to open your eyes, open your ears. You have to look at everything. You have to pay attention. So you can't be gatekeeper and be asleep. You can't be gatekeeper and turn your back to the gate.
So powerful.
So the point that's what I'm saying. I just made this statement.
But so many people are sleeping, though.
Well, a lot of people
are in a relationship and they are sleeping.
And they are ignoring their spouses.
Exactly.
They're ignoring their boyfriends, their girlfriends. And the reason why is because they believe that their life issues are the greatest things. Mm-hmm. My life issues are the greatest things. Mm-hmm. So whatever issues whatever challenges I have, challenges, not problems, challenges. Mm-hmm. Because we are meant to overcome.
Exactly.
Right.
So
Whatever I'm facing, I believe it is so great, so important. It doesn't matter what you are facing or what your challenges are. But we are supposed to be our brother and our sister's keeper. Our brother and our sisters, our partners, our spouses. We are supposed to be one another's keeper. So when you have a problem, even if I have issues, when I have challenges that I'm dealing with, I can't shut you out and think that it's appropriate, because that's how mental health tends to come in and destroy a family completely.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm focusing on whatever I'm going for, and I'm forgetting that you are part of us. You're not a part of us anymore, because I have problems. We don't have challenges. I don't have challenges. I have a problem, and that's it. Full stop. No, we have challenges. You have challenges. I have challenges. And if I am your gatekeeper, you are my gatekeeper. I still have to be my own gatekeeper, but I know I have support. I have backup in the person I am with. So I'm aware, you're aware, I'm looking at you. I know when I see you come and you are doing things differently, I know this is not what you're accustomed to. I could gently just, hey, so everything okay? Like what you said to me, you okay? Like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm good, everything's all right. The dog's fine, the cat's fine. But then after you said, like, listen, a little bit later, you really show me that what you are asking. Because people could ask you superficially. Of course. But they don't care. If you ask them if they're okay, and they say, well, I'm dying, I have one eye, I've just lost an eye, I've just lost half I have no feeling on one side of my body. And they'll say to you, oh, wonderful, lovely, ha, 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 take care of yourself, thank you. Because they're not really asking you because they want to know or because they're paying attention. They're asking you because it's generic. It's standard procedure. I see you in the morning, I say good morning. I see you in the evening, I say good evening. I see you in the night, I say good night. And that's that. You say to me, you say to me good morning and I say, blah, 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 you don't care what I say. You got a response and you're good to move on. So if you're a gatekeeper, if you are your brother's keeper, you are paying attention to what comes back. Not only that, you're also watching and seeing how they are acting, how they are doing things, see how they are functioning. Because it is important to take everything into consideration, because we are all unique and different in our individual ways. So some people, it's easy for them to open their mouth and tell you the lot of their life. Some people, they would never say a word, but you would look and you will see that they are not eating. You would look and you will see they are not sleeping. Or they're sleeping a lot. That's all they do, sleep. Or they're just eating. They're not stop eating. So you have to be able to watch and see. Yeah, because people communicate in different ways. Yeah.
People suffer in different ways.
And they will show you they're suffering. For you to see it,
because people handle depression in different ways.
Exactly.
Some people like to binge, what they call just eat, like you're saying, just be on the binge. I remember when my mom passed away, I used to go to that KFC.
Hot wings.
I remember that. Oh my days. And then because I didn't know that about myself. I didn't know that I dealt with stress by overeating. And I used to be at that KFC every single day ordering 10 hot wings.
10 hot wings. Yeah, I remember.
But I think you had to tell me.
I used to call you hot wings.
Hot wings, and say to me, yeah, maybe that's enough now.
Yeah,
because I remember, I didn't realize what I was doing.
But I used to call you hot wings because every time, if you're not here, I call you, baby, what's happening? You got it? Like, yeah, I'm at the KFC getting some hot wings. I was like, yeah, that's okay.
And I remember the day that she died, I left the house in my
pajamas,
my dressing gown, and got into my car and went through the drive-through.
Yeah, no, I was on my way home
to have as mmany hot wings as possible while I pour out my eyes and start crying.
Yeah.
That was my way of dealing with my mom's grief.
I remember I came home and you wasn't home.
Yeah,
and they say, oh,
and you were worried because you thought I definitely she went in the car alone and just drive off.
Yeah, but the children tell me that you've just left and so on. So I tell them, listen, you guys just stay, just hold your corner. Don't worry, Daddy will take care of this. It's fine. But I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew you needed space and you needed time.
Oh yes,
not only that, I also had faith that you were the kind of person who would not hurt yourself in the process, but you were hurting and you had to go through that process, and I needed to allow you.
Oh yes,
allow
definitely.
you to embrace that experience.
Oh yeah.
So
and sadly, some people don't recover from these things, and this is what we want to talk about. The whole point of these conversations. There are so many things that can trigger your mental health.
Oh, yeah. Mental health breakdown.
A mental health breakdown.
Yeah,
I'm
because
talking
everyone
about
has
going
mental
through
health issues
depression.
from time to
It
time,
could be,
but
in our
breakdown.
case, it was grief. Because we both my husband and I, we lost our parents. So for us, and we lost our parents in our mothers while we were together. So we had to learn how to support one another in that situation. Number two, a lot of people may, like we said, have pre-existing issues that they came to the relationship with that was never dealt with. So today we just want to encourage, we're going to close this off, and we're just going to want to encourage everyone to say, like my husband said, in the relationship that you're in right now, try to be each other's gatekeepers. That was so powerful, baby. Try to be each other's gatekeepers. Try to be each other's keepers. Because at the end of the day, just do not, consider your spouse coming in from work and you just said, oh, well, today's just another day. Take time and ask one another, how are you doing? Like, sincerely, how are you? Don't get that nonsense answer. When they give you that, oh, yeah, everything is fine, whatever, just take a break like I did with my husband. How are you doing?
Step back and then come forward.
Have a self-evaluation of yourself also, and ask yourself, how am I coping? You understand? And if you do need to speak to someone, don't be ashamed. Don't let pride get in the way of seeking help, sincerely seeking help and speaking to someone about it. Because you may not want to speak to your partner. You may not want to speak to your, maybe a work colleague or your reverend or your pastor. But there are many different ways in your community, in your country. There are helplines that you could reach out and speak to someone that you do not even know. You understand? There are all these like Samaritan helplines. You don't know, you do not need to know who you're speaking to, but speak to someone. Do not suffer in silence. That's the most important thing in your relationship. Learn to acknowledge that life is not a bed of roses. Issues, situations, deaths, everything is going to happen. Somebody may come into the relationship that you may be with somebody for 20 years and never knew they were raped when they were a child, because someone has decided never to unleash that information. But it is affecting your love life. It is affecting your sex life. So we need to get to a point whereby we need to address certain issues in a safe way. So we hope we've helped someone today. And again, because this is a sensitive issue, if anyone wants to reach out to myself or to Odingo, please feel free to do so. So we're going to end with this. Have a happy Sunday.
Have a happy Sunday. Have a wonderful week. God bless you all. And to all, we wish you happiness beyond measure.
Amen.
Thank you.